Welcome back to digital class, and now we are looking at booklet 5, which is about cell system. So now let's dive into and looking at what is actually about cell. So first thing that you must know, cell is actually the basic unit of life. So or you can understand is example, this is like us human. Okay, we are actually made up of different cell, and this cell will come together to form tissue, then slowly organ, then system, then become a human body. Which means that all the organs that you know is actually made out of simple cells. Okay? Now what happens is all living organism, we actually consist of either one cell or more cell. So for example, us human is actually a multi-cellular organism. Means that we are made up of many cells. Multi means many cells. Okay? And this also includes animals and plants. Okay? However, on the other hand, we have something called a single cell organism. Single cell organism basically means that there's only one cell and it can stay alive at its own, just one cell. Okay? Very interesting, right? And example, we have bacteria. It can be a single cell or something called amoeba or amoeba. Okay, so you can see this is a picture of an amoeba or amoeba. Okay, so it's just one single cell, and inside there's something inside, and it can stay alive at its own. Okay, so first thing, something that's very important to take note is that first, most cells actually can only be seen under a microscope. Means that we can use microscope and see most cell. But of course, there are cells that we can just see with our naked eyes. And next thing is that our body actually contains a lot of cells. As you know, we are multi-cellular organism. For example, blood, we have red blood cells. And when it comes to nerve system, we have also nerve cells inside. Okay, and maybe something that you have know. Example, in reproduction, we learn about sperm cell. We also learn about egg cell. Example, in female's body and in male's body, sperm cell. Okay, and once we know about sperm cell, egg cell, all this red blood cell, nerve cell, then now all these things are actually mainly part of animal cells because it's more on human side. But there are actually two different cells that we'll be talking about, which is animal cell and a plant cell. Let's look at this. So animal cell in simple, you can see is something like, okay, like a shape, like a kind of a circle, a bit oval. There's something inside. Then for plant cell, it's kind of a rigid structure, and there are a few things inside. Now, honestly speaking, inside a cell, there's actually many things, but we are only learning a few main things here. Okay? So the first main thing here that you must know is actually the nucleus. Now, nucleus is found in both animal cell and also in plant cell. And nucleus is something that's very important because it contains genetic information. Again, when our parents sperm cell and egg cell combine, and why do we have all the similar DNA? Again, because of nucleus, the genetic information inside. And inside a cell, the nucleus actually helps in controlling all the cell activities. So it's actually like a brain, okay? A very important part of the cell. Next, in both animal cell and plant cell, the outer part here is something called the cell membrane. Cell membrane is inside here. And what happens is it also helps in controlling something, but it's mainly control the movement of substances. Example, food and waste. Control it to in and out. Okay, in and out. So again, this membrane is basically helps in controlling in and out, in and out. And the next thing that both of them have is something called the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm basically is the inner part of the cell. Just imagine it's the inner part of the cell. It is actually like a jelly-like substance. And inside this part, inside the cytoplasm, we have everything inside, which is the nucleus and all the things. So it contains many cell parts. Okay? And again, a cytoplasm allows substance to move within the cell. Again, just now, cell membrane is in and out of the cell. This is within the cell because C is inside. Okay, that's why it's within the cell. And this place, the whole thing cytoplasm, is where most cell activities happen. And I think this is kind of obvious because it's the inner part. That's why I have all these things. Just imagine like you have a plastic bag and you put water inside, and that water basically is a cytoplasm. Okay, maybe the water and you put a stone inside. The stone is just like the nucleus example. Just imagine this how it looks like. Okay, a plastic bag. Just imagine in the plastic bag. You tie it up. You put water inside. You have water inside. You put a stone inside. Okay, the water basically is just like a cytoplasm. The stone is just like the nucleus. Now, however, if you compare animal cell and plant cell, these are the three things that we can found in both of them. But for plant cell, we have especially something called cell wall. Means that plant cell, we have cytoplasm as well, you know, right? But there's another cell wall outside that actually is trying to do what? It's actually trying to protect the cell. It also give or provide fixed regular shapes to the cell. That's why it actually is the fixed shape. Like animal cell, it can be a bit different depending on the situation. And again, this rigid structure stops the cells from bursting because plants sometimes will absorb water, but it might burst, right, if there's too much water. But because of that cell wall, it will not burst. Okay? And plant cell, we also have something called chloroplast, which is something that you should know. And we know chloroplast contains what? Chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll will help to capture light to produce food in plant. Okay? So again, this is 5 things that you must know: the nucleus, the cell membrane, cytoplasm, cell wall, and chloroplast. We have these 5 different parts of the cell. However, teacher, does it mean that animal cell always have nucleus? No, it depends also. Okay, teacher, do plant cell always have chloroplast? No, it depends also. Teacher, then how do we know whether have or don't have? You can just understand as generally it has all these things, but but it has some exception. Let's just share with you the some exception there. For example, the first thing here, as you can see, some cells do not contain nucleus. For example, red blood cell. Teacher, why red blood cell don't have a nucleus? So this is how the red blood cell looks like. And the reason of red blood cell do not have nucleus is because red blood cell is actually taking the role of carrying oxygen. Okay, carrying oxygen. And because red blood cell need to take as much of oxygen as possible, that's why it doesn't have a nucleus. Okay. Now, what happens is some plants actually do not have chloroplast. For example, like root cell and bark cells. Okay, so for example, I have a tree here, right? Okay, this is a tree, this is the leaf. Just imagine, okay? Now, if I take the plant cell from the leaf here, do you think have chloroplast? Yes, it must have because it must contain chloroplast to have chlorophyll to capture lights to produce food in plant. So in leaf there is for sure. But how about the bark? Bark basically means the outer part of the kind of the stem here. If you take it out, it doesn't have chloroplast. Why? This is the bark here, which because it does not responsible to actually produce food, so it doesn't need chloroplast at all. How about root cell? How about root cell? It does not contain chlorophyll also. Why? Because it is not responsible for producing food, so it doesn't need chloroplast to capture light to produce food. Okay, so you can kind of understand as the leaf is the only one so far. You can understand as the leaf is the only one so far have the chloroplast in it. Again, why? Because to capture light to produce food. Okay, so you must understand this idea a bit. Okay, again, let's just do a quick revision. If I had to ask you, there's an animal cell but don't have nucleus, what is it? A possible would be red blood cell. If I ask you plant cell with chloroplast, what is it possibly from? Leaf cell. Leaf, okay? And if it's plant cell without chloroplast, where is it possibly from? It could be from root or from the bark. Okay. So with that, let's just quickly move on to the next part. Just a very quick go through this part is not as important as the previous page. So you just need to understand that during cell, we have something called the cell division. Means that the cell will actually divide. And that's actually how we grow. Okay. Again, let's look at these things to note. As a baby grows larger, means that we are growing, it itself actually divide. And it increase in number and resulting in more cell. So the baby grows actually is because cell division. Okay, is not because of the cell become bigger. No, it's actually the cells dividing. Okay, so you will learn more of this in secondary school, but let's just go through it very quickly. So during cell division, a cell will enlarge to its maximum size, then divide into two new cells. So you can see this is growing, then divide into two main cells. So again, this process will always, or generally will starts with nucleus because it holds genetic information, very important. Then it's slowly followed by the cytoplasm, then the cell membrane. So basically, this is from the inner side. The nucleus start dividing, then the cytoplasm, then eventually it ends at the cell membrane. Again, it is important for us to grow by doing cell division, replace old and damaged cells, example we injured, on also for reproduction. Okay, this is maybe something that is important to take note. Okay, so anyway, we have gone through all the discussion for cell, and again, the very important part is actually about this part, the animal and plant cell. Please kindly know that which part is actually the nucleus, the cell wall, chloroplast, cytoplasm, cell membrane, because you might be asked to be labeling or be asked what is that part, okay? And you must know the functions, okay? So for some of the part, example like this one is it? You don't need to know for now. It's fine. You eventually learn it more in secondary school, okay? So I hope that this video helps you to understand more about cell, and thank you. See you. Bye bye.